Welcome to the Spunky Spirit Podcast. I'm your host, psychic medium Carrie Muggs. This is where we learn all things spirit, everything from spiritual gifts, awakenings, ghosts, aliens, and starseeds. Nothing is untouchable, but always fun and spunky. I am honored to be on this spiritual journey with you, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Hello, and welcome to the Spunky Spirit Podcast. I am Carrie Muggs, and this week we're going to talk about starseeds. Now, I've had a lot of people ask about starseeds, that's why I've decided to do it. Now, in my intro, I do say nothing is untouchable. I'm going to talk about all these things because a lot of my listeners are interested. If you are not interested in things as reincarnation or aliens, then this episode might not be for you. And that's okay. That's totally okay. But if you have an interest in this, then by all means stay. If you've never even heard of a starseed before, then it might be interesting to you. I just know that I have heard about starseeds a lot. I kind of resonate with it actually. And I kind of think it's cool. It's like a sci-fi movie, and I really love sci-fi stuff like that. And honestly, it doesn't take away from the spiritual aspect, because here's the thing. Bottom line, we are all created by Source. We're all created by God. So even different universes, it's not like there's just a God of the earth only and everything else has a different God. It's everything is created by Source. And so all of these things that we're going to explore still originates from Source. And that's the main thing and that's very, very spiritual. But I like to push my listeners to just keep an open mind and just anything is possible. And sometimes using the imagination is fun. And there are lots of people out there that do believe in aliens. And you know what? Here's the thing too. We are really, really arrogant to believe that we are the only thing existing ever. So if we believe that we are the only planet and we're the only species in this entire galaxy or galaxies, then we're really, really arrogant. So, or we're just really, really self-centered. And so I think a lot of people, some people are afraid to go down this direction, or some people just don't know, or there's not enough facts, or there's not enough proof, and that's totally fine. So you just take this episode as what you take what resonates with you and what doesn't, and you just kind of come up with your own thing, and then you can Google your own stuff. So that's what this podcast is mostly about, is for you to know what's out there and to build your own conclusion. So, and just know too that everyone has a starseed origin. So starseeds aren't just, I know a lot of mediums don't like well, first I'm going to tell you what a starseed is, and then we'll kind of go into that. But so a starseed is, where's my definition that I wrote down? Starseeds. Okay. This is what I found. I found this definition on a article by Moon Omens. So moonomens.com. I'll link the article down in the show notes. But so starseeds are souls that have come to Earth in order to teach and heal people. So these souls have lived multiple times, multiple lifetimes, mostly training and healing and loving and getting Earth ready to always become better or always grow. They have experienced more than one life on Earth, and we'll talk about the different starseed types that there are. And they've been on other planets too, obviously, because they have starseed origins. They've been from different galaxies, different places. So this is where, if you believe in reincarnation, and I do, I believe in reincarnation. I believe we always have a choice. I believe I feel like I have had multiple lifetimes, and sometimes I can see it. When I do readings, I can see other people have had multiple lifetimes too. So, but I don't really go into those because really, honestly, and I've said this before, the main purpose is to be in the now, and not to worry about those other lifetimes, because right now we're just being in the main purpose is to be in our now. So signs that you could be a starseed are you feel different from everybody else. You long to go home and you don't know where that home is. You just feel different. You know that you have, and this really could be everybody. Everybody kind of feels like they have a higher purpose, but maybe not. Maybe there are some people out there that are just here and just want to exist and enjoy this earthly life that they have and just keep it super simple. So that's, that could be an option too. But also, starseeds feel at ease discussing spiritual things and connection and space things. So if you're still here listening to this, more than likely you're probably a starseed because you actually love these type of things. And also too, you just love people and you listen to your intuition and you love all things spiritual. Now, what I was going to say is some mediums, some of the ones that I have followed on TikTok, they don't believe in the starseed thing. It doesn't resonate with them, and that's totally fine. Here's why. Some of them say that it takes away from the human experience, and I don't agree with that, and that's okay because we can agree to disagree. I don't believe that you can be on this earth and have a body and have anything take away from your human experience, right? Like, there's just no way. If you're here right now and you have a body, then you cannot take away from the human experience. You're in it. Now, you can fantasize about other lifetimes and imagine other lifetimes and not focus on what you're doing now. And that would take away from what you're doing now. And spirit doesn't really love that. Spirit wants you to be in the now. So if you do find yourself, it is good to research where you think you came from or your starseed origin. It is good to know that stuff because it teaches you a lot about you. It's like a personality thing. But honestly, make sure that it doesn't distract you from your purpose and your life now. Don't be so enthralled with what had happened in the other lifetimes that you can't focus on this lifetime, because right now you're here to enjoy this lifetime and to focus on this one. Now, some other mediums don't believe it, like the starseed thing, is because they feel like it puts people above other people. Like, people feel like, kind of like the Princess Diaries. Every teenage girl wants to have somebody come into their school and say, oh my gosh, you're a princess, and then have this wonderful, awesome life of being a princess, and that you're here to save the world. And that's not exactly what a starseed is. I mean, it kind of is that, but you're not the only one, and there's a lot of them on Earth, but they think it takes away from that starseeds feel like they're higher than other people, or they're better than other people. And I don't believe that either. I believe that it's kind of like our own military. We have, the United States has the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and we train them. And they're trained and they go through lots of training to go to other countries and to help them. And some people think it's helping, some people think it's don't, and then they have that political thing. And I do feel like that political thing is also in the star systems. Like, there are some starseeds are here to help and some aren't. And we'll kind of get into that too. I feel like it's not that anybody thinks that they're better. I just think that there is a kind of not maybe not a war, but there is a battle going on. And I think human race is kind of caught in some of it a little bit. And so, and it's a spiritual battle, but honestly, what is spiritual? It's, angels are not of this earth, so they could be considered angels or aliens. Like, open your mind and decide, I believe that they're angels, but also they're not of this earth, so they could be labeled aliens too. So that's why I want you to just open your mind and think of what fits with you. But anyways, back to the military. I don't feel like starseeds are better than anybody else. And I don't feel like anybody is higher than anybody else. No one is more important than anybody else. On this earth, we are all equal, and we are all, now some of us are just like in school. Some of us get good grades and some of us don't, but that doesn't, I think that's a frequency thing. Like, some of us are at a higher frequency And some of us are still growing, and but that doesn't mean the people that are at a higher frequency are better than the people at a lower frequency. It means we are all growing, we are all progressing, and some of us just go at a faster rate than others, and some of us don't, and that's okay. It doesn't mean anybody's better than each other, and I don't think that the starseed thing means that anybody's better than anybody else. It just means that there were specific souls or energies that were kind of trained and are here to help other people, or help the earth, or help whatever's happening, or help the growth, or whatever's going on. So that's my take on it, and you can take what you want to from that. And I shouldn't be, honestly, I keep saying it's my opinion, and my opinion it can be completely different from yours. So, and I feel like I keep defending my opinion, and I'm not going to anymore, because you can have your opinion and I can have mine, and I'm here to just tell you what is out there, and what other people think, or what other people, believe in, and you take that and do what you want with it. So I believe in starseeds. I do believe, I resonate with a lot of the starseed stuff. But that doesn't mean I think like I'm better than anybody else. It doesn't mean that, I just feel like there's lots of people from different places, other than Earth, that are here to help. And that's what I believe. So now we kind of went over signs that you're a starseed. The ones that you feel different than anybody else. You feel like you want to go home, but you don't really know where home is. But here's the thing. The primary goal of a starseed is to serve and help others. To serve, or the earth, or the frequency raise, or to bring in new growth. So that's what starseeds are here to do. Just like when we try and send the military into other places, we're trying to help. Ultimately, that's what starseeds are here to do. It's kind of like a, I guess you could say, military team that's coming through different places to try and help. And some starseeds have been here throughout the beginning, and some have just started coming, and some are just showing up. We're going to kind of talk about that too. But at the bottom, if you believe in reincarnation, then everyone has starseed origins, right? If you believe in reincarnations, and you believe that you've been in other places besides Earth, then you have a starseed origin. You've been in other galaxies, other planets, and so technically, I guess I would say there's kind of two different kind of starseeds. If you've been to other planets and you just kind of want to experience Earth, then you're not particularly here to like help or help growth. Then you're not like a trained military person to be here to help. You're just here to experience, and that's totally fine too. So, and then there are starseeds that are been trained and have been, are sent here for a purpose to help the Earth. And so there can be both, but ultimately we're all created by Source, every single one of us, and we all have starseed origins somewhere. But why our purpose on Earth right now as a starseed may be different. You may be somebody who's just reincarnating and experiencing lifetimes, and you may be somebody that was actually sent here to help raise the vibe. Now, there's lots of, a lot of people think that lots of our spiritual teachers were most likely starseeds to bring information, to bring love, and to bring guidance throughout the Earth. So even some people would consider, Buddha, Jesus, they are starseeds, but they're also very, very spiritual and very, very considered like God's son. So it just depends on how you look at it. But if you look at it, they are also very, very knowledgeable, very, very, the frequency of the Earth changed when these teachers or leaders came to the Earth. So it just kind of depends on what you think or what your opinion is on it. So I keep saying so. I need to stop that too. There are different kinds of starseeds. Typical starseed. The typical starseed is, they typically have lived under 100 reincarnations on Earth. So they could have different reincarnations in other planets, but on Earth they've had under 100. And most of these reincarnations have been for training purposes, or a training phase, or a preparation phase. And most of their most of their time they've done service, teaching, they've helped people with their gift, they've raised spiritual awareness, and they teach and they love. That is a typical starseed. Most of, a lot of the starseeds are a typical starseed. There's also an old soul starseed. These starseeds have lived over hundreds of lifetimes on Earth. They started in the very beginning when Earth was just created, clear back in the beginning of humanity. And these starseeds are guardians of the planet. They have strong ties to the planet Sirius, and also they're really pulled to Egypt. These old souls are typically shamans, spiritual teachers, prophets, healers. They have ancient knowledge and they process ancient spiritual knowledge to teach it to others. So if you would maybe consider Jesus and Buddha and some of the other higher spirited people, they would be considered old souls, old starseeds. New starseeds. There's only new starseeds they've only been here on Earth a few lifetimes, and they chose this moment particularly. They come in during high frequency moments, so they chose this moment in particular because the Earth frequency is moving so fast and growing so fast, and they are here to help hold that space for that frequency. These new starseeds are, maybe you've heard of them, they're rainbow and crystal children. And they come in to Earth and they are rebelling at the beginning. They remember things. They, if you read those books about how children come in and they remember past lives, or they come in and they, find out that, you've seen those videos where the kids are eating an animal and they realize what they're doing and they start to cry. But these are the new starseeds. They're the crystal and the rainbow children. They come in and they defy all the odds. They defy the belief system. When you're taught certain things and you have this certain belief system that you're supposed to follow, and they defy it because they know better. They remember what they were taught. They remember. So those are and you can Google this. You can Google some of these. I'm just giving a general oversight of what I've kind of researched, because if I were to get into, I could probably do just a whole podcast on each one of these types of starseeds. And I'm going to go over some of the typical starseed types. And if you feel like you resonate with one, then Google it and find out, because I'm going to tell you which ones I resonate with. But if you feel like you resonate with one, there's so much information. Google can be your friend, complete friend. And there's so much information out there about starseeds. And when I first I remember when I first read my first thing about starseeds, I literally just I just started crying because it resonated so much with me. And I just felt like, oh my gosh, I have all these answers now. I understand this. I understand it way better. I understand why I'm feeling this way. And it actually helped me. So if this helps you in any way, then there's nothing wrong with it. You're not crazy. It's just like any type of other, religion or something this isn't a religion, but just know that it's okay. You're not crazy. If something resonates with you, go with it. It's part of who you are. Now, some of the typical starseeds that we see out there are, the first one is the Pleiadians. Now, this one's pretty well known. The Pleiadians are known to want to help us. They go with the 7 stars, the sister star cluster, but I think they just found 2 more stars to add to this, so 7 would be 9. So the 9-star cluster. It is known. Now, I don't want you to get caught up on the physical traits, because if we've reincarnated lots and lots of times, then we're going to lose some of those physical traits, but we're going to keep the core of who we are and some of the spiritual aspects with us. So just kind of know, if whichever one resonates with you, that's probably the one that you are more pulled to. But you can have lots of these different traits from all these different starseed types, because if you have been reincarnating a lot, then you probably picked up a lot of different traits you've probably been to these different planets or stars or galaxies or wherever. And so you're going to have some of those traits with you. Now, the Pleiadians, they are the record keepers. They are loving and gentle and kind. They're more advanced. They have very, very strong healing abilities. They're very loving. They're creative. They're young souls. They're empathic. They're gentle. They're perfectionists. They think they want to be perfectionists. Most of the signs that go with Pleiadians are Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Very, very gentle. Very, very loving. Very, very just, glowing. They're just very, very, I don't even, like soft and loving and caring. And they care about humanity. They care about everything. They care about, they're very empathic towards people. That is a Pleiadian. They're also known to be tall, long hair, long noses. But again, don't get stuck on the physical traits, because that can fool you every time. So Sirian comes from the dog star. It's known as the dog star, the canine star cluster out there. There's 2 planets, Sirius A and Sirius B. Now, Sirius A is more bird, I think. This is where Thoth came from. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Thoth, the Egyptian god, the one that has the bird head. And Sirius B is all water, all dolphins. So if you're pulled to water, whales, dolphins, all of that time, very, very intelligent. Sirians are the peacekeepers. They're the guardians of the earth. So, hold on one second. Okay. My recorder started going weird. Oh, because I said Siri. That's right. So my phone turned on. Haha, that's funny. Okay, so they're the guardians. So Pleiadians mostly watch over individual people. Sirians also do, but they're the guardians of the earth. They watch over us. They guide us when we're living in turbulence, which is kind of, lots of times on the earth it gets turbulent. They're kind of known as the watchers of the earth, and they bring peace to the earth. They're very simple, but they're spiritual. They're not money hungry. They're very open-minded. They care for the earth. They're loyal. They're funny. They think they have a mission to save animals. They're drawn to lost civilizations like Atlantis and Lemurian. They also are daydreamers, and they're very drawn to Egypt. And if they're B, then they're drawn to water. Now, I do feel a strong pull to Sirian a lot. Sirians can be more logical, or Pleiades can be more faith. Like they don't need the scientific background or anything like that. So the next one is Arcturian. So those are born leaders. They have strong personalities. They're very strong-willed. They're builders, architects. They're here to help advance the earth. They're here to help the growth and to advance the communities. They're into architecture. They're natural healers. They're very charismatic, and they're telepathic, which means they have kind of strong psychic abilities. They're passionate about their work, very logical, very planning, very organized. These are the public speakers. They love mathematics, the data, the science, the technology. They're very guarded with their emotions, where Pleiadians are not. Pleiadians and Sirians kind of are in between. So, yeah. And they may seem kind of aloof or cold, but really, and they're really not. They just don't like to share their emotions a lot. And they love things like sacred geometry, anything mathematical, anything science, anything that pulls the two together, spiritual and logical. So the next one is Andromedan. That one, they're loving, they're gentle, they're almost childlike. They're known as the quiet warriors. Their mission isn't the general population, but it's personalized. So they might be here to help one specific person, and when I say that these starseeds are here to help people, they're also here to to grow themselves. Like, they've got some of their own learning to do. It's not all about just helping others. And this is where we talked about shadow work last week. You've got your own growth to do too. So you can be helping others, but at the same time, you're going to be helping yourself trying to grow too. Now, the Andromedans work really well with the Akashic Records. If you don't know what the Akashic Records are, you can Google it. It's the book of life. It's talked about in the Bible. It has everything that's ever been done in the galaxies written in. So all of your lives, all of you, everything you've done has been written in the Akashic Records. So Andromedans can read the Akashic Records pretty well. They also love things about reincarnation. They struggle with the Earth's density. So they're the ones who might be in a lot of pain, or it's like almost kind of painful for them to be here on Earth. They don't understand why they're here, why there's so much pain. They have a childlike innocence. They're very introverted. They observe. They're also freedom seekers. They don't like to be told what to do. They are also empathic, but they're very guarded, and they like to travel. They're creative, and they're drawn to spiritual careers like teachers, art, music, very artistic. Now, Orion, I don't know if you call them Orion, but the Orion Starseeds, they're kind of secretive. They're knowledge seekers, and they are extremely logical. They're kind of completely opposite as the Andromedans. So they need proof, and they want to teach us the value of our potential. They want to lift us. They want to make us better. And so they're here to create a better system. They're here to create I think these are the ones that, like, in their star system or in their galaxy, they actually have an Earth, like, molding or an Earth assimilation of how we're supposed to be going forward, or what the, what they feel like we should be moving towards. So they are the ones that feel the most homesick most of the time, and they are very task oriented. They inspire others to love and to learn. They inspire others to love to learn. A lot of these are Virgos, Taurus, Capricorn. They are rarely angry, and they can come off cold sometimes, but they're just very guarded of their emotions. And they're the kind of, like, it is what it is. Like, you just do it, and we're here to build, and we're here to make it better. So now we're kind of going to get into I think, did I tell you where I got a lot of this at? It's called, the website or the place that I found these articles about the traits is called, I'll put it also in the show notes, but it's typically topical. So I'll put that in the show notes too. But now they kind of talked about indigo, crystal, and rainbow. Now I don't feel like this is a certain type of starseed. No, this is a type of starseed. We already talked about the indigo, the crystal, and the rainbow children, that they remember and they can't be manipulated and they help us get through fear. I don't feel like it's a, like, species type. Like, we have the Pleiadians, the Sirians. This is just in these indigo and crystal and rainbow children. They can be one of these types. They can be Sirian or Pleiadian or any of the ones that we're talking about. But she did have it written down here as a type or trait. But again, I feel like, and also light workers kind of falls into this category too. She had light workers and indigo and rainbow children, but I don't feel like that is a species of sort. I feel like any starseed type can be a light worker, or any starseed type could be an indigo, crystal, or rainbow child. So light workers, they're here to spread love. I think all starseeds are light workers. I don't think that there's just a light workers type. Now they also had Lemurian and Atlantean put down here, but I don't feel like they're starseeds either. I feel like, because Lemurian and Atlantean, that happened on Earth. So I feel like starseeds were here when that happened. And I feel like, certain types of starseeds, like the Lyrans, and we'll talk about that, and the Pleiadians, and the Sirians were here during Lemurian Atlantean, but I don't feel like they're a type of starseed, because those things happened on Earth. Those are civilizations that happened on Earth, and I feel like that some of us were here when that happened, and some of us were starseeds when that happened. So now some of these ones that I'm talking about, they're not as well known, but I'm going to touch on them because if you feel like, you're pulled to that, then you can Google that. So the Maldek, I don't know. I've never heard of this one. So I don't know if it has to do with the Melchizedek priesthood, the Melchizedek. I don't know if that, but it's called the Maldek, and it's only referenced in astronomy and scripture. So I'm not really sure what their traits are or anything like that, but that might be something to look into if you're interested in that or you feel like that pulls to you. And also the Lyrans. Now, this one does pull to me a lot. The feline. This is the oldest known galaxy. This is an ancient civilization. They don't really feel like there's this planet was also destroyed at one time. And so that this home is gone. So a lot of these ones feel like their home was lost. But they also say that a lot of these first generations or a lot of these first Lyrans are no longer they no longer exist, but they are pulled to ancient civilizations. They're pulled to Atlantis, Lemurian, Egyptian, or Roman. They're very wise, very serious. They're keepers of the ancient wisdom. They love history. They're drawn to magic. They love to have a good time. Like they like to drink and be merry. They sometimes can feel stuck a lot, and I think that's part of their civilization being gone. They're very drawn to cats in Egypt, very drawn because they are the felines. So when you see those pictures of like half men and half felines, I think this is like the Lyrans. They are very much fire signs. So Sagittariuses, Leos, and Aries are pulled to this. This could be why I'm pulled to this because I'm a Sagittarius. So blue rays. I've never heard of this. So if you feel like you're pulled to this is the second time I've ever heard this. Highly sensitive. They build higher frequency communities. So I guess blue rays are coming in now because they're trying to help us build a higher frequency community. That community where every energy is free and we're all on the same path, just kind of that. They're here to help build that community. So they're not generally here to help just people. They're also here to build a community. And I've never heard of the Venusians. So Venus, they're here to teach us about love. I've never heard of those, but if you feel very pulled to Venus or loving, then that might be for you. Now, not all starseeds are here to help. Some starseeds are here to not help, but they can be, good or bad. But there's also starseeds known as Draconians. This is associated with dragons, which I don't really love because dragons get a bad name. I really like dragons aren't good or bad. Like it's just like saying people are there are good and bad people. It doesn't mean, just because sometimes people see dragons, they automatically think of. We've been kind of taught to think of snakes, and snakes aren't generally bad either. But we're generally taught to think of cult or satanic things, and I don't believe that that's entirely true. Like. There's cartoons about dragons, right? Like Rhea. And so, but the Draconians, they're associated with dragons. They're also known as Dracos. Also, they help raise the vibration. But they're military style. They're like, you have to do it our way. And they have a military style energy. They're not always for the good. They kind of have a conquering, they like things to have done their way. It has to be done their way. They mostly want to conquer, multiply, and they are in for power, and they kind of are money hungry. They're very commanding. They have a strong sense of duty, and they like to entertain dangerous adventures, and they love respect. They love respect. So now that's kind of all I have there. So I'm sure there's more out there. I'm sure there's so much more out there, but just know too, if you have lots of these different, like I have different Lyran and I have different Syrian different traits. If I just read a Draconian trait and you're like, oh my gosh, I have those, don't worry about it, because it could be that in a past lifetime you were a Draconian. It could be, but you're not now. It doesn't mean that I mean, we have our past lifetimes and our lifetimes to experience things, and we have to experience everything, right? So, and in all the lifetimes that we've ever lived, they all can't be perfect and great. They all can't be good. And that's why we're a soul and we're learning, and that's our lifetimes are different. So just know that that's okay. If you have some draconian traits, that's totally fine. Now, a lot of us don't realize we're starseeds, and then we're just here on Earth doing the thing, playing the game, doing the 9 to 5, going to school, doing the things that we're supposed to. And then all of a sudden something happens, and it can be a spiritual awakening or a starseed activation. Are they kind of the same? Could be the same thing. So sometimes you just kind of sit there and you realize, oh my gosh, this all makes sense to me. I get this. And starseed activation and awakening are kind of the same thing. It just depends on what you think you are. If you're but if you're a human here, we're all humans. But if you're experiencing lifetimes, then a spiritual awakening. But if at one time during the spiritual awakening, you kind of are like, you run into this starseed thing and you're like, holy crap, this totally resonates with me, then that's an activation. And that's different things. They set things when you came here, when you were making your blueprint and you were deciding, okay, these are the things that I want to experience. You put little things you decided with your spiritual guides. Okay, this is what I'm going to remember, that I'm a starseed, and this is how it's going to happen. I'm going to accidentally run into this video, and I'm going to go down this rabbit hole, and this is what's going to cause my starseed activation, or this is what's going to cause my awakening, or this is what's caused my growth. So you've kind of planned these little activations that come through your lifetime. And so some of you maybe had it, some of you haven't, some of you might not, because some of this might not even resonate with you, and that is entirely okay. The bottom line is we are all just here to help each other home. And ultimately, the home is back to source. But until then, we might take a lot of vacations on different places of the earth and of the planets. So I kind of liken it as, and you guys have probably heard me talk about this before, as a Saturday Night Live skit. At the beginning, you get up and you present your life. This is what my life or my experience is going to look like on earth at this lifetime. And your soul family's there, and they're watching this, and your soul family's with you. And throughout this lifetime, throughout your thing, they show up, and you have different skits. You play different parts and different roles in each lifetime. And at the end, you're all together, and you get to talk about all the experiences that you all created together. And then you get to go back to home, which is source. Now, in between this Saturday Night Live night skit, you're going to different planets. Your soul families taking different vacations. You sit down in between each visit and you're like, okay, where are we going to go next? What trip are we going to take next? What are we going to learn? What are we going to do? It's kind of like, and you grow and you learn from each of those experiences. And right now your family is just taking a trip to Earth, which can sometimes feel like Disneyland with lots of crazy rides on it. And that's okay. And then after, this, just depending on, where you want to go next, if you're going to take a spa break and go to one of the planets that's like super easy. We don't really know. I just think it's kind of fun. I think it's kind of fun to imagine that there is a human experience with some starseed elements and some magical spiritual elements, because sometimes Earth can just be dense, and it can be fun and positive, but it's so fun to have this like imaginative, what if? And I actually should call this podcast What If, because it's just kind of cool. It's just kind of cool to know. But I will put down these different articles that I read in the show notes. And if anything resonates with you, just Google it. I just love to say Google is your friend. It is. Just make sure that you know, the resources that you find are accurate. But at the same time, there's no proof in this stuff, right? There's just people that have channeled this, or people that have found this stuff, or people that have continually, you know, people that have channeled the Pleiadians, people that have channeled Syrians. But it's just so funny that some of the people that channel these different things kind of channel the same stuff. And because it just resonates. It just resonates with some people. Well, I hope you like this version. I hope you like this episode of Starseeds. If you kind of know what kind of starseed you are, leave it in my Facebook group, post in my Facebook group under the podcast post. And also, too, I do have a Facebook group called The Spunky Tribe, and this is where you can go talk about these things without feeling like you're crazy. So if you feel like you want to go to this Facebook group of mine where we can talk about Starseeds and Akashic Records and all that stuff and be very open-minded about it and not just so one-sided, then go to that Facebook group and we can talk about it there. So I love you guys so much. Oh, also, too, I am just going to let you know that I've decided after kind of a crazy, crazy summer with me overbooking myself and all of that stuff and my daughter's accident, that if you were watching Carrie Connects on Monday or listening, I'm going to kind of take a break for November and December. I'm just going to focus on my readings and the podcast for the next 2 months. And then when January hits, I will get back into the group readings and the classes, the mediumship classes that I'm going to have, and even some one-on-one stuff. So one-on-one classes. But for right now, I'm going to enjoy the holidays and take a nice long little rest with my family and just focus on the readings that I have scheduled for the next 2 months. So I love you guys so much. And I really do. When I say that, I'm not just saying it. I couldn't do this without you. And I love that you support me and love me. And I love that you love to hear about stuff like this because it makes me feel not so crazy too. Okay, I will talk to you guys. I will see you guys next time.